Welcome, Warriors, back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. And today we're going to talk about the king. And you are the king. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit and why. But subscribe, like, and comment. I appreciate all the comments and all the great information you guys are providing. There's a great person that rhys, fyfield, I believe is the name. And that person gave me some great information, so I'm going to kind of share that with you in a second. But I love any kind of comments you have. Things, like I said, I'm not the expert at all. I'm just kind of giving my experiences. But if you guys have some cool facts and information that you want to share, that's going to help our listeners with the whole ideas, benefits of health, wealth, and becoming the best person, the best version of person you can be, no matter what your age. I'm 60, but I'm becoming better and better every day, and trying to be the best person I can be. And if you're 20 and you're 30, 40, it doesn't really matter. If you're male, female, it doesn't really matter. You want to become the best person you can be. So as my cat in the background running around, let's get started. So we're talking about the king, and the king is important. Now, my comment from my viewer, rhys, fyfield, and thank you once again for the comment, talk about the fact that when you lose energy, males lose 160 milliliters every time they lose their energy, right? And then females, especially during their time every month, they lose 80 milliliters. So think about that, guys. Males are losing twice as much of their energy as females are. Now, males also have a high level of testosterone and blood level. So at a young age, you can do that and not really run into a lot of problems. But as you get older, what ends up happening is that if you don't have the high levels of testosterone and you start losing that, well, then you become kind of a shell of a person you are. And that's one of the reasons why you must keep your energy, no matter what happens. There's going to be times you're thinking about losing it, but don't lose it. And especially not on a consistent basis. If you're going to do it to have a child, that's one thing, as we've always said. But you as the king are the person that has to be in charge. And I go back to the king mentality. So thank you, rhys, fyfield, for that comment. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And that's why you are the king. You are the king because of your testosterone levels, and that's created in blood levels and all that, the things we talked about in the other video. But the idea was that you want to go ahead and say that you are a person who's in charge, and you should act like a king. So let's look at what a king looks like and acts like, right? A king is a person who, really is kind of in charge of the situation. But the king also has to be in self-control themselves. They have to be in discipline to know when to go and do something that's fair for people. They have to be fair across the board. They have to try to be someone who has empathy for people when needed, but also be tough on people. And you can only do that if you have that level of self-discipline, self-control that's important when it comes to the journey you're on, and also being the king. And so the king is someone who is admired for many reasons. But the king is the person who is someone who is able to control themselves first. And if you have self-discipline, you're able to control things around you a lot better because you're in control yourself. And that's the king. That's the king, and that's the thing about being the king, is to be able to focus on self-control. If you're able to do that in your journey, all of a sudden now you're keeping a lot of that testosterone, that higher blood levels we talked about, like my friend fyfield had said. Those type of things are really important when it comes to the strength that you have. And the strength obviously starts from a physical standpoint, but it also then creates mental, the confidence, all the things you need to have to be able to strong and be that ruler that you need to be. Now, I'm not saying you're an actual ruler, though some of you may become leadership positions someday, and those things are important, and those things have those places. But in the mind, you are the king. And the king is someone who needs to be, in control of themselves first. And then you end up controlling a lot of things around you because you can make choices. And once again, if you can walk away from situations If things are not in your mind desperate that you need this thing or you need this person, you need to look at these pictures, those type of things, you've overcome that addiction. And I think it's really crucial to be able to have that level of control. So being the king means that you're in charge of all the things around you, but you can only start with that by being in control of yourself. And that's why we talk about massive attraction. People who control themselves are a rare breed in this society nowadays, a rare breed. And if you can get to that point, and you can do that for a number of days on end and build a habit of that. Now, of course, you're going to make a mistake. Those things happen. We're human. Temptation comes around and things happen. Those things happen. But always keep in back of your mind, in order to be that king that you rightfully should be in yourself, you need to kind of have that level of control and not let other things dictate you and push you in different directions so that you lose track of where you're going and what you want to accomplish. Every king has a goal for the kingdom that they have. Every king wants to have things get done, and every king needs to kind of work with other people. And so the confidence level you have, the ability to be able to kind of rule over people, make those tough decisions, show empathy when you have to be, right? Those type of things are always good. If you want to be kind to somebody, that's great. I think that's wonderful. But you also need to be tough at times and be fair. And the only way you do that, gang, is that you have the strength to do that. And if you're feeling weak, or you're depressed, or you're not strong, and you're focusing on all these images and things, other things you have, you will not have time in your mind to be able to make these tough decisions and run the kingdom. The kingdom is within you. It's, I think, a Bible verse as well. The kingdom is within you. And so that's where it starts. The kingdom starts within you, and then you can kind of branch off and say, how does this affect other people? But it will, because as soon as you're on your journey, you're going to be at the point where you can actually go ahead and kind of start getting more confidence and getting more charisma. And those type of things come from the fact that you are on your journey. You have that energy kept inside of you. You're not losing that 160 milliliters every time that you decide to lose that energy, right? And that's why women subconsciously will stay away from you, because you're draining yourself all over the place. And because you're draining, women are actually stronger at times than the men are during the month, because you're draining too much. And that's why women can also tell when you have that level of energy. Is it something they tell right away? No. It's something they instinctively, biologically know. Somehow they're intriguingly fascinated, and they're interested in how this person, how this king can do this and be able to be in self-control themselves. And that's not an easy thing. Why do you think there's only so many kings, my friends? Because the king is able to say, I'm different. And the way you're different is because of the reason of self-control, and you're not spreading your energy all over the place for no reason. And that's a key type of thing. Even the kings, and especially in the old days, they would abstain from a lot of things, losing their energy, only to have children when they needed to. That takes a hell of a person to be able to do this, guys, especially in our society. So that's why I say, as a king, there's a very rare breed of people who can be the king. But we can all be the king if we do this. But you're not. But honestly, you're not going to have most people doing this. I mean, one of my readers said, YouTube and these type of things, it's not something promoted, in a lot of things that we do. So we don't promote these type of things in social media. We don't promote these type of things a lot. We should. Now it's becoming more popular behind the scenes, and people know this, just the reaction they have. But the idea is that, kings, there's not a lot of kings out there. And obviously people fight to be the king, but the king is the person who can control themselves, especially when pressure situations hit and things happen that they're being challenged. And that's why I always say that in order to be the king, you have to start by handling your business at home first, and that means with you. And it means self-discipline, that means self-control, and even though you may get tempted at times, fight it off. And be able to say, okay, I have my purpose, my goal, I'm moving in this direction, and this is what I want for my kingdom. And you'll find the people around you kind of work with you a lot more to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So it's really crucial that every day you sit down and say, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm trying to do today, and this is where I'm heading. My goal is still to make this much money. This goal is still to develop this kind of friendships. Maybe if you're younger, you want to date people, you want to have relationships. Those are all goals that are great and wonderful. But the thing is, you got to do is you got to try to take care of yourself first. And the more you can do that, the better off you're going to be. So again, you are the king. And the idea is that you starts with you. And that's because a lot of the energy, testosterone you have. Now, women don't have the level of testosterone we have. And that's why, in this case, if I address this to women, women also have energy. And of course, like we all do. And they are strong during the month until they get to one point in the month, and then they lose it, and then they come back and build some more. So they're strong at parts of the month, but overall, the testosterone level is what separates the men and the women. And what happens is that the testosterone is so huge of an energy that if you continue to use that, other women will notice that you have a high level that they may have lost during that month, and now all of a sudden, subconsciously, they're attracted to you. And these things happen. Obviously, from women's perspective, you continue doing the best that you can with it, and you have great energy as well. But the idea is that for men, you lose a lot more energy when you do these type of things than women do. And I think it's just a key fact in what we're seeing here. So that was a great information from my friend rhys. Anyway, that's kind of the idea, guys. You are the king, and continue to be the king by controlling yourself, and you will control the situations around you, and then you'll have your own fiefdom of people that are going to help you achieve your goals. Until next time, battle on.